In this lesson, we'll be looking at tricks to simplify adding. These aren't techniques that are unique to me, but ones that almost everyone who does math in their head knows and uses. The first thing that makes adding easier is making tens. Adding to 10 is easy, and by making tens, we cut down on the numbers we have to add. I play a game where we roll 10-sided dice, so let's use that as an example. Here I've rolled a 1, 2 3s, a 4, a 5, and an 8. We can group the 2 3s and a 4 to make 10, leaving us to add the 1, 5, and 8. However, we're not done making tens yet. We can split that 5 into 2 and 3, and steal the 2 for the 8. That gives us 2 tens. Now we just need to add 1 plus 3, which is 4. 20 plus 4 is 24. The dice add up to 24. Let's look at another roll. Here we have a 9, an 8, a 6, a 5, and 2 3s. Nothing adds to 10. The closest we have is 6 plus 5 gives us an 11. However, 11 plus 9 is 20. So we can pull all three of those numbers out. That leaves us an 8 and 2 3s. The 8 only needs a 2 to become a 10, so we change one of the 3s to a 2 plus a 1, and steal the 2 for the 8 to make a third 10. That leaves us with 3 plus 1 is 4. Our total is 34. Now it's your turn. Pause the video and add 2, 4, 5, 6, and 2 7s. Restart the video when you're done. Did you get 31? The 6 and the 4 make 10, so we can get rid of those. A 7 can be split into 5 plus 2. The 5 adds with the other 5 to make a second 10. That leaves us with a 7 and 2 2s, which is 11. 11 plus 20 is 31. We can use this method to add things of different units, for example, feet and inches. Say we need to add the lengths of wood here. We can add the inches to make 12s. First, we add the feet so we can forget about them. Then we look at the inches. We need 4 inches to make 8 into a 12, and 5 inches to make 7 into a 12. 4 and 5 are 9. We subtract the 9 from 10 and get 1 inch. That gives us 2 feet 1 inch for the inches part. We then add the 2 feet to the 9 feet, and we get 11 feet 1 inch. Splitting numbers is another technique. If a problem is difficult to do in your head, it needs to be broken down further. So when adding double-digit numbers, I split one of the numbers into tens and ones. I tend to add the tens first and then the ones, because the limiting factor of doing math in your head is the number of numbers you can remember at the same time. My limit is about 3 or 4. If we add the ones first, then we often have to carry, which uses up one of those slots and makes the math more difficult. Let me show you how I add numbers larger than 10 by adding 57 plus 34. I can start with either number. In this case, I pick 57 because it's the first number I run into. It'll work if you start with 34 instead. I then add the tens of the second number to it. 57 plus 30 is 87. I then add the 4 to 87. I split the 4 into 3 plus 1 and add the 3 to the 7 to make 10. That gives us 90, with 1 left over. So our answer is 91. Now you try it. Pause the video and add 65 and 17. Did you get 82? Another way these could be added is by adding an easier number and then making an adjustment. For example, 17 is 20 minus 3. 65 plus 20 is 85. 85 minus 3 is 82. This method works best with numbers that end in 6 through 9. Please pause the video and add 47 plus 19 using this method. Did you get 66? Your thought process should look something like this. Sometimes when we have a lot of the same numbers, it helps to multiply rather than add. This helps when we're adding a number of similar things, such as lengths. Here we have 6 measurements of people's heights. First we combine the 10 inches and 2 inches to make that 5 into a 6. then instead of adding all the 6's, we simply multiply 6 times 6 to get 36. The remaining inches total 5, so we have 36 feet 5 inches. Let's combine these techniques to handle something more complicated. For example, adding measurements of degrees and minutes of arc. 60 minutes make a degree, so instead of adding to 10, we're adding to 60. Here's an example from some measurements I did as part of a process designed to measure the Earth's magnetic field. When I take data, part of the process is to average 4 measurements that contain both degrees and minutes. The first step in taking an average is to add the 4 values together. So let's look at that part. We'll use this when covering the averaging later. The middle 2-minute values are very close to 60. We need an 8 for the 52 and a 6 for the 54. So we can subtract 14 from one of the other numbers and change them into 2 degrees, which we'll handle later. 12 plus 23 is 35. Then we look at the degrees, and we notice there are 2 271s and 2 90s. So we can add 27 and 9 and get 36. Stick a 1 on the end, and we get 361. Then we double that to get 722. Finally, we add the 2 from the minutes and get 724 degrees, 35 minutes. I hope you've learned something useful in this lesson. Next, we'll look at subtracting.